Hi, Kathy. Hello. This is for Kathy Gifford. This is Adrian Igo, Capricorn Tigers of Astrology, a look inside, coming to you with your free mini reading. And I decided to do it in a live video format instead of how I normally would do it, which would just normally be with, uh, you know, just writing out a couple of paragraphs. So, and I wanted to do this because it's been, oh, wow, almost a month, hasn't it, Kathy? At least 3 weeks, it says on the group website, on the group site. So I really wanted to do something special for you because you have been so patient. And of course, I've been through what can only be termed a life experience. My marriage fell apart during the time that you've asked for this reading. So, yeah, there's a reason why it's taken so long to get to this, but I really want to thank you for your patience. And so I just wanted to do something a little bit special. So what I'm going to do here, what I'm just confirming a couple of things before that's what I thought. I just wanted to confirm a couple of things before I went into the reading because, as you know, I like to look at a couple of different things when I look at these charts. And one of the things I like to find out is what type of animal and what type of element of animal you are. So I'm just confirming. I thought when I saw 66, you would be a fire horse, and you are indeed a fire horse. And a fire horse, we have several fire horses at Astrology Look Inside for some reason. And I don't know why. I seem to bring in fire horses. I attract them like moths to a flame. And the thing about fire horses is you guys are very independent. When you think about a horse, you always think about them galloping or running or just sprinting or even just always moving, right? They're always moving. And I get that vibe with you. Um, I get that that's what you should have been doing. And it's so weird. When I first pulled up your chart, it was like I fixed it so that the sun was basically as close to the ascendant as I could get it because I decided to do a solar chart. It's actually still in the 12th house. But when I pulled it up for, like, I was thinking about putting it in the 10th house, which, is another way to do it. I swear it also gave me either Sagittarius rising or Gemini. But and that might really be a completely different vibe. So when I'm reading this to you, I really want you to be aware that, we can look at it differently. I would ask that you would provide a donation then if we go back in it again. But I do, I'll see what this feels like to you. If it doesn't feel like you, then, we can go and look at some other options because I know you didn't have your time. And I am sorry for, the fact that you've been your situation, because I think you said you were adopted or something like that. So let's go with what we have here. And then if you want to go into more in depth and just make a donation or something like that, I'll make sure I provide you with a more in-depth reading. So one of the things I've noticed is that your ascendant has progressed here, it looks like, into Cancer, but see, we don't know. And let me just give you an idea. If your sun was somewhere around this area and you had like that Taurus, original Taurus rising, or maybe even Gemini rising. If you had Taurus rising, or especially now, if it would progress into Cancer, it would mean that you're a little chubbier, maybe a little round face, maybe a little round tummy, what they call a little Buddha belly. If that, and a little happy little smile. If that sounds like you, then we might be on the right track. If you're someone who really likes food a lot, you really are very attractive and a good dresser, a really nice dresser. tailored, then you might have more of a Taurus rising. And if you're slender and you find yourself getting nervous a lot, you might have more Gemini than I have here. Because I have here where there might be some Gemini in that first house. And we're going to look at it as though that's the situation. Okay? Okay. So when I look at this chart, I'm seeing that really at this time, the most elevated planet would be, Pluto in Capricorn. It's still in your ninth house, but other than what's that, Ceres? Or no, that would be Lilith. Yeah, technically Lilith is your most elevated spot. Ah, man, that's in Aquarius up in the 10th house. Really close to the midheaven, too. What's going on with, where's Uranus? Twelfth house. Ooh. So when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, I'm wondering how things are going with your career. I mean, I know you're not too far up as far as age from myself. And so, you may even be retired already. I'm not sure if that's the situation. I see that Lilith is really your most elevated, like planet. It's an asteroid, but if I were to, consider it a planet, and it's in Aquarius, and that Uranus is actually square your midheaven exactly right now. So and if not exactly now, within say the next 3 months or so. So I'm wondering if you are experiencing any rockiness at your work, or any possibility that your work might not be as steady as you would want it to be, or your career. The funny thing is that in the area of work, you would have had Jupiter go through that recently. It's now in your 7th house. And speaking of your 7th house, one of the things I'm seeing, this is indicating that you would have Jupiter there. I'm wondering, because it's showing that you've got your Scorpio, your progress moon in Scorpio. And no matter what house it's in, your progress moon would be in Scorpio right now. So that's something to really keep in mind, because you're a Taurus by birth. And this is showing that your progress Scorpio or progress moon would be basically opposing your natal sun. And I'm wondering if that is an indication of some possible partnership issues, because that's putting all that emphasis in the solar 7th house. Okay, that's an indication of maybe partnership issues, or emotion, at least emotions attached to your partner or your a spouse, or relationships, or even enemies at work. I mean, it is Scorpio, and it is your progress moon, and it is opposed your sun. So that's important to know. Now, it would also be technically opposed your Mars as well, because you have your Mars in Taurus, and you're in fact you have Mars on your sun at birth. You have Mars on your sun, so you would be a very aggressive personality, depending on where this is. Now, in this chart, it's up in the 12th house, would mean you wouldn't be as aggressive as you would be. You would be very maybe quiet and holding your feelings quite a bit. I hate talking about it, but he's such a great story to talk about. But my husband that I'm separating from has a stellium of planets in the 12th house, and all in Taurus. And when Uranus crossed over his Mercury and Mars in the very early degrees of Taurus, out of the blue, without any indication whatsoever, no prior discussion, no prior anything, he announces he no longer loves me and wants out of the marriage. Well, that's it for me. I'm done. I'm never turning back, going down the yellow brick road. But I mean, it came out of nowhere. And so when it first came to me, I was devastated. Now I'm feeling kind of happy. The weirdest thing occurred for me. The weirdest thing ever occurred for me, which, it's funny because I have my moon in Taurus. And his moon is also in Taurus. And my moon is actually on your sun. So hi, we could be good friends. But the funny thing, when I announced that I was separating from my husband, I swear there's been at least 10 guys who have approached me so far. I think this might be what I'm supposed to be doing now, because my North Node is now in Cancer. And speaking of North Node, by the way, because my North Node is in the 7th house in Cancer, you have your North Node in the 1st house in Taurus. But I don't know for sure if it's the 1st house. But let me just say this, it's at least in Taurus, and it's within very wide striking distance of your sun, which is weird. It means that your actual ego identity is somehow tied into your life purpose. And with it being Taurus, Taurus is it's Venus ruled. It's usually very creative, very beautiful. There's always something beautiful about Taurus. Even when they're at their worst, there's something about them that even with my horrible husband, he was one of the smartest men I ever met. I mean, as far as like playing game shows and stuff, he would just boom, boom, boom. We could just name them off. Some people have skills like that. And I sense that you probably do have some particular skill. One thing I can say, with Mars on top of your sun like that, I mean, it's less than 2 degrees away from your sun. Mars on top of the sun tends to burn it up a little bit. You might get angry a lot. You might have some inner frustrations. I hope you're not like imploding on yourself, like frustrated with yourself somehow, feeling down on yourself somehow. Don't do that. It's bad enough to have outside world beat up on us. What we don't need is to beat up on ourselves. Okay, so don't do that. Okay. I just want to make sure, because you've got Chiron up in Pisces and Saturn is on your Chiron. My gosh. And your Saturn is on your Venus. And that's like sadness up in the 11th house of friends. It's also opposing your 5th house, which has like Pluto and Uranus in it. And it makes me wonder if you ever got married. I hope you did. I mean, you've got Neptune. What's on this chart looks to be the descendant, and like I said, it would be with the progress moon opposing your sun right now. Even if I don't have your houses right, it still would set up a 1st, 7th house access for you. It's almost exactly, it's been opposed. I would say that you might have even gotten into a relationship within the last 3 years, maybe. And if you're not seriously in one, you might have met someone you could be serious with within the last 3 years. And if not, there could have been that you might have been disillusioned and got out of a serious commitment within the last 3 years. So one of those things I think is happening, because first of all, Jupiter is just it's just been going through your that area opposing your sun. So you also have Jupiter opposed your sun, basically in that solar 7th, like 1st, 7th house axis, no matter where it falls in your actual chart. The funny thing is that your progressed sun is down in Cancer. And that's an indication to me that you're a fairly emotional person right now. And again, I keep picking up beauty. Now that's Gemini. That's Venus in Gemini. It's funny because right now you've got your Mars progressed in Gemini, you got your Venus progressed in Gemini, and you've actually got your Mercury and Venus sextile each other, like exactly. It just means you're probably really easy to talk to, very pleasant. I just sense you're very, very, could be very pleasant to talk to. I could see that you probably like to talk a lot. And you're actually very attractive. I don't I just get a vibe about that. Yeah, yeah. It's funny, your ascendant's also in Cancer. So this progressed ascendant anyway with this chart is showing that it would be in Cancer, and your progressed sun is showing that it would be in Cancer. And it's just showing me that you would have a certain type of personality. See this North Node, right? The North Node is in Cancer. So you are going to have I think, a very emotional type of year, for sure. I'm wondering how, if it's going to affect your family. I mean, in this chart, it's looking like you'll be emotional over money. But I since I don't know your time, I can't really pinpoint what area that it's all going to fall in. But I can tell you that for sure, with this emphasis in Cancer, you're going to feel that, because as a Taurus, most likely they're going to be making some aspects to that Taurus at one point or another. It looks like the progress ascendant probably would come within striking distance of your actual natal ascendant. So something like that, which of course would mean, oh yeah, it's like opposed your natal sun, or no, sextile your natal sun. So it'd be so great if I knew, right, the exact times. It would help so much. One of the things I see, and this would happen no matter where it fell, you've got your part of fortune on your natal moon. Wow. Wow. And it's weird because your natal moon is in Sagittarius, so your part of fortune is in Sagittarius. It's funny. I just sense that you can be inherently lucky with money, but I can't tell if it's really the money house. It's only if, we go by if Taurus was in a certain spot and whatnot. But I believe that, yeah, you have luck somehow, but your luck is attached to your emotional stability. So I wouldn't gamble unless I had the money to do it and the emotional wherewithal to withstand it, because I would hate to see you get into a situation where you were emotionally overwhelmed. But with the part of fortune on the moon like that, I just keep thinking, win the lotto. Win the lotto, win the lotto, win the lotto, win the lotto. If you go, you should play the lotto. I don't know, Kathy, if you do. If you don't, you should start immediately. I swear, you should play the lotto at least once every month. No fail. Just keep doing it. Your part of fortune's on your moon. My goodness. How many times have you missed that lotto? I bet you've had that number plenty of times. In this chart, this is one of the luckiest charts. I swear, even though it has the sun sitting on the ascendant from the 12th, because it has Jupiter in the second, it has the moon with the part of fortune in the 8th. It's not that great for romance. I'll be honest. And Neptune on the descendant, it just indicates your partner might be lying and cheating on you and stuff, or you could be cheating and lying on your partner. Mm-mm-mm. Now, I don't know if any of that's true. I ain't trying to get in your business. I got to sip on some tea. Mm-hmm. This puts a lot of emphasis in that 12th house. And I could see some untruths there. But that's anywhere really where you find Neptune. I have come to not trust Neptune in any shape or form. And Pisces don't even like me. They always vote me down because I'm a little hard on Pisces. Pisces is nebulous, okay? And you've got it very high up in your chart. Luckily, you've got Aquarius basically in the 10th house, but you've got a full Pisces house in the 11th house. And I can see that there could be some deception and stuff from friends and all kind of stuff going on. Now, hopefully, you've made some good friends, because that Venus and that, what was that? There was something else that went with that very well. It was 2 degrees of something. 2 degrees of Aries. Oh, okay. Oh, it's okay. It's sextile Venus now. Okay, so natally, you were born with Venus at 2 degrees of Aries. And right now, Venus is at 2 degrees of Gemini. Again, it just with that progressed moon in the solar seventh house, like no matter where your planets are, it still would have that 1-7 axis going on. And this is a sextile to that, no matter where it lands. I'm telling you, I sense if you're in a marriage and it's been dead, a revival. If you're in a marriage and you're unsure, deception. If you're single and you've never been married and you thought it was never a chance, there's a chance now. If you're not married, and you're not sure, this would be a good time. Jupiter's there. It's opposing your sun, but whenever Jupiter opposes your sun, it means that opposing that area will be highlighted. Now, I will tell you, it is going to be moving out of Scorpio and into Sagittarius. So that's basically going to be like Jupiter's going to be in the 8th house. Okay. And I don't even know if the emphasis would be on partnership anymore. It would be on, say, emphasis on your partner's money. So, I mean, if you were in a partnership, the emphasis would then move into things like your partner's money or taxes or legal documents and wills and, conversations with your therapist, stuff like that. So, it'd be interesting if I could talk to you because I could get a feel for if you're in a relationship, getting out of a relationship, if you've been alone for years, could be a widow, never thought in a million years, you got Neptune right on the descendant, no matter what, or that first 7th house. You were born with Neptune opposed your sun, regardless. Now, according to this, Neptune's opposed your ascendant. That's if you were born at 6 in the morning, but. Wow. I mean, either way, it would be opposed your sun. So that first 7th house access would always be there. And I could see where you've been deceived in relationships. I'm sure of that. I can feel it in my soul. If you haven't, and you've been living that perfect Neptunian haze, wow. Because I'm telling you, I was living in that perfect Neptunian haze with my husband when he suddenly told me he didn't love me. I thought no matter what happened, he would love me, like we could make it through any single thing. And that is not always the case. And it's really important to know that. And you've got Neptune very high. Actually, after the midheaven, it's technically, because Lilith is not a planet, Neptune is technically the most elevated planet after the midheaven. And that spells confusion. You can be deceived by your friends. You can feel deceived in groups and associations and things like that. Now, you could work hard in these areas, but just know that there just seems to be this air of deception there. And it's important to know that's there. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave it at that. There's some more stuff going on, like that Uranus going through. You're like sitting on your Mercury almost in the 12th house. Lord. Be careful what you talk about. Okay. All right. Well, this has been Adrian Igo, Capricorn Tigers. Look at that. You got 25 minutes almost out of me. I'm glad to help. And I hope that you got some help and some insight out of something that I've said here tonight. And I want to take a moment and I'm going to wave my little magic amethyst, which for some reason I feel so good when I do this. Just makes me feel so good just to wave this and just send out lots of love and lots of light, many blessings. lots of healing. It's all going to be okay. Okay? It's all going to be okay. It's going to be a little weird for you at Uranus. I hope we need to do a reading and just talk about that. Okay? All right. Much love and light to you. Namaste.